Hello, my friends. So the other day I heard a politician say that we must win this pandemic. And then he went on to give his guidelines as to how we are going to win the pandemic. And so I listened to what they said, and I used my critical thinking capabilities to process it and my own reasoning, and came to the conclusion that what they were saying doesn't make any sense at all. And in fact, it seems absolutely ludicrous, because what that person was suggesting as a means to winning a pandemic was that every man, woman, and child on the planet must get injected with a drug, with a chemical. And that is how we're going to win. So, to me, that doesn't seem like winning. In fact, that seems like the opposite of winning. So, in response to that, I have created my own guidelines as to how to win a pandemic, which are as valid as any these days. So, here you go, Nate Murray's guidelines on how to win a global pandemic. So, but we must first understand what it means to lose a pandemic. Who is losing during this time in history? Certainly the people that have disowned and shunned and condemned those close to them based upon their political beliefs or their belief around freedom of choice, if you know what I'm saying. Those are the people that are losing at the moment, because they are under the illusion, the delusion, that what is happening in the political theater, what is happening on Capitol Hill in the reality TV show of world politics, they're under the delusion that that is more important and worth sacrificing the relationships of those they love and those they know on an immediate level. So they have allowed fear to take control of their lives, ultimately. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that their decision-making process no longer is based in reason or critical thinking. That after years of television watching and propaganda absorption, it has shut down that critical thinking capability of their mind. And so that they are not able to process the information that's coming to them. They're not able to process it into its full logical conclusion. They just take whatever is being injected into their mind through the propaganda. They receive it already in its concluded form. So they receive it as fact, as the way it's happening. Zoom, 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 it's going in. Okay? And so for that reason, they have a very narrow point of view, and they expect everyone else needs to conform to this point of view. And they're willing to shun you and belittle you to defend that point of view that has actually just been stenciled into their brain. That's how this works, unfortunately. So these people are, in my opinion, losing, all right? And no doubt their mind is full of worry. Worry about what is going to happen. Worry about the consequences of everything that they're doing, because they're not living from the heart. Remember from last video, I said the heart energy is never concerned with the consequences or the results of its actions, because it will always do the same thing no matter what. It always does what it knows to be right. But the people that have the parasite of fear in their mind, they are not going to have this capability. They're going to be cut off from the heart energy, from their source. And they're going to be very fearful, very worrisome about the outcomes of everything. And they think that, well, if they're telling me to do this, and if I don't do it, I better do it, because otherwise this is going to happen. Or what about if there's so many fears? I don't want to make fun of anybody. So there's just so many fears that are being impregnated into the mind at this time. I mean, what are some fears that you're seeing? I want to know, share your thoughts on this. What are some fears that you're seeing in people's minds that maybe don't make sense to you? Especially if you're living from heart energy, a lot of these little fears that people are having right now are not going to make any sense because the heart never fears. But again, we must have compassion with the people and patience and understanding that they are fearful at this time. Not their essence, of course, because in essence, their heart. But they're under the control. They're under the mind control right now, all right? So these people, because their mind is worried, no doubt their health is declining. No doubt. Because they have become so preoccupied with getting everyone injected and shot up that they have overlooked and maybe forsaken the one thing that actually can protect them. And that is their immune system. And that is their health. And remember, guys, for millions of years, the human immune system has been absolutely adequate. Beyond adequate, actually. It has been magnificent. The fact that you are here right now is living proof that your ancestors' immune systems were thriving and that they functioned perfectly. The fact that any of us are here right now is living proof that the human immune system does not require any chemical input. It does not require any man-made bullshit chemicals of any kind. Because that's just a belief that's been programmed into our mind recently. But if we look throughout all of human history, we've never needed any of this. And humans have not only lived, but thrived in some disgusting environments. I mean, I have seen in a lot of countries, children just surrounded with animal feces and just all kinds of garbage. I mean, really, really, really poor. Real, true poverty. In the very true sense. And yet, the kids seem incredibly healthy, actually. More healthy than... Anyways, I'm just saying that... So the people that are losing the pandemic are under the delusion that the human immune system is inadequate. Okay? Yeah, some people die. Some people die. But guess what? All of us die. None of us make it out alive. So you have to take that into consideration as well. Okay? How important are things? How important is something? I mean, how dire is something if you're facing something that has a 99% chance of survival? How dire is it really? Okay? And another thing, so finally, another way that these people are losing is that they have lost that ability to connect with human beings. Okay? The human being must have connection of some kind. If a baby is born and nobody touches it, the baby dies. Okay? And not only physical touch, but emotional and energetic touch. Energetic resonance. There is an energy field that surrounds each person, okay, emanating from the heart center. And think along the lines of a diagram that you've seen of the Earth's magnetic field, how the lines extend up and come back down. Each one of us have that same kind of toroidal energy sphere. And when we come in proximity with each other, there's resonance, right? An exchange of energy and of information happens. And in our current state, we're being told to distance as much as possible. Do not come close to each other. Do not experience that energetic resonance, okay? Some may say that is by design, of course. So you're being told to distance, stay away from each other, stay in your house. When you do go out, cover up your face. The one thing that makes you individual to others, your source of expression, cover it all up. Okay? And the person that's losing is actually doing all of this. And they're actually isolating. Okay? We isolate prisoners. Remember that. We isolate prisoners. And along the same lines of prisoners, the person who is losing during the pandemic, based upon my guidelines, is operating under the delusion that the sooner we all just give away our freedoms, the sooner we'll be allowed to have them back. Okay? Now, to me, that's losing. Okay? Because that doesn't make any sense. And based upon my life experience and my critical thinking, that's not the way it works. Okay? You don't get more freedoms by giving them all away. I hope you see this. So now, since we've examined what it means to be losing the pandemic based upon Nate's guidelines, what does it mean to be winning? Well, the people who have been and are winning during this pandemic are taking this as a golden opportunity to re-examine their life. To say, okay, what is really important? Is it that important that I'm working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, so that I can have the money to drive a certain car because it makes me feel like I'm somebody finally, because otherwise I don't feel like I'm somebody really? Or that I have to work all this time so that I can get clothes, a certain type, I can dress myself in a certain way, in suits and jewelry, to make other people think that I'm more, but ultimately to make myself think and feel that I'm more because I feel insufficient inside. This kind of re-examination, is it really worth sacrificing the time with my children and my wife or my loved ones or with my dog even? Is it really worth selling all these units of my life for trinkets? And so it's re-examining of all of this. Maybe it is worth it to you, which is totally fine. That's your freedom to do so. I'm just saying, the prudent person is taking this global reset as a personal reset and saying, okay, let us, since we've already jostled the routine that we're in on a bigger scale, meaning society and economy, global, all of that, let us re-examine our own personal habits on an individual level, okay? And to say, what's important? Are my beliefs, is it so important that my political beliefs, what the Republicans or the Democrats are doing, is it so important that I'm willing to sacrifice the relationships with those that I've known my whole life? I mean, people are disowning old friends, family members, people in their tribe. You see, it's the dissolution of the tribes. Because that's not good for the New World Order. That's not good for them. Having strong clans and tribes of people who are loyal to each other and who have actual human connections. That's not good for them by any means. So they're destroying it, and it's very effective at the time. But to the person that's winning, this is not so effective because they see through all of it. All right. The next thing that the winner is going to do is they're going to take a look at what happened last year with the food shortages and what is happening this year and every day with the food shortages and the supply line disruptions and the droughts, and all of these things are going to they're going to feed it into their critical thinking capabilities, and then they are going to say, okay, well, the food system, that which sustains me, is actually extraordinarily fragile and depends upon so many fragile elements operating in harmony that if one element of that machine that supplies food to me is out of whack or broken or missing, the whole thing collapses. And they will see that we are actually seeing that right now. As we speak, we are witnessing this. The demolition, the implosion of the just-in-time supply system. Okay, look it up, just-in-time supply. It's so fragile. And so the winner of this thing is taking this chance to create a rotating stockpile of food. They've watched my video. The winner has watched my video on 20 foods to stock up on now, and they have went out and got enough for themselves and their family, whoever's immediately dependent on them, to survive for 6 months. You then create this into a rotating stockpile, so that you just pretend like you don't have that stock anymore, and that every time you go out, you get another thing. And when you do, you put that one at the back of the shelf, and you bring the oldest one forward, and that's the one that you use. And like this, then the newest one always gets put in the back, the oldest one always gets used. This is a rotating stockpile, but you've always got that cushion there, so that if something did happen, or when something does happen again, which many of us have kept saying, then you won't be one of those people freaking out in the 6-hour line just to get their rations, okay? Because you'll say, oh, well, okay, I can wait this out. We're good. We can wait until food comes back or until growing season comes back, okay? Enough to carry you through winter, because no doubt the person who is winning is going to be doing whatever it takes to start growing their own food, okay? Whatever, making the necessary connections, getting the seeds, the soil, learning the techniques, finding out what works for their climate, what they like to eat, all of this. Everyone has to be growing food. Now remember, this is how it's always been. Through all of human history, it's always been this way, up until just the last generation or two. Think about, it boils down to this: live in such a way that your great-grandmother would be proud of you. Yeah? That you've got a victory garden. Think of all our great-grandmothers had gardens. That's how everyone did it. And then every generation before that. Because that's what's important, is being able to feed yourself. Without that, all bets are off. Whoever is controlling whether you eat or not is controlling you. And this is going to become more and more apparent as the months and years move on in this next decade, in my opinion, based upon what I see. So the person who is winning has taken this opportunity to start growing their own food, okay? Now I'm going to make a video really soon on how to prepare your garden space now for next season, because we want to prepare it now. That's going to be crucial, so that we prepare the land now so that come springtime we can plant. And it doesn't matter how little of land you have or how much you have, you got to be growing something, okay? Also, I'm going to make a video in the near future about how to indoor garden over the winter, sprouts and microgreens. Okay, we're going to be getting heavy into that this winter, all right? So the person who is winning is also taking control of their health, okay? Because the person that is losing has allowed their health to go, all right? So the person that is winning is going to have taken control of that, and they're going to say, all right, I'm not going to just allow myself to eat whatever comfort food garbage is coming to me. I'm going to face my emotions. Okay, I'm going to face whatever that uneasy feeling is within me, so that I don't have to turn towards food to deflect that uneasy feeling. I'm going to take this chance to get as healthy as possible. All right, I'm going to learn what life force means within the food. And I'm going to become conscious of the relationship between what I put in my body and my waking experience. That's what the person winning right now is doing. They're becoming healthier every day in every way. They're getting better and better. Okay? They're not taking this as some excuse to let everything go. Well, but the pandemics, I gained 20 pounds. What if you had to hike? What if you had to carry your child 10 miles? Could you do it? Or would you just be too physically exhausted? What if you had to carry yourself 10 miles? Could you do it? Or would you just be too physically exhausted? You need your health. Now, you always need your health, but even more so now. Okay? You will be a liability to people. You're either a liability or an asset. So, be an asset. Condition your body right now. All right, go on long extended walks. Do a 10-mile walk sometime, just to make sure you can do it. Carry something, carry a backpack on a 10-mile walk, just to make sure you can do it. All right, take an ice bath to condition the body. We're going to get in a lot to that as well this winter, trust me. So, condition the body with ice baths, cold showers, fasting, do the master cleanse, rid the body of the toxin buildup that you're carrying with you, and learn to sit with the hunger. Learn what it means to be hungry. This is a fantastic exercise. I could go on and on about it, but just do it and experience it. Work with it, sit with it, and feel that primal urge, that instinct. All right, and then deny that for the time. And that's where the power, that's like doing push-ups for your willpower, okay? Until it will become rock solid. Remember, you become good at whatever you practice. So if you practice giving in to fear and worry and regret or uncertainty or condemnation of somebody, that's what you'll be good at. You'll be really good at worrying. You'll be really good at being fearful and condemning other people from your high horse. But if you practice compassion, if you practice understanding, and if you practice living in the now, you will be free of fear. And that's what you'll be good at. You will be good at living in the now. You will be good at allowing compassion to flow through you and into all of your relationships. And everything will transform. Everything will transform, my friends. So ultimately, it boils down to this. The winner of the pandemic, based upon my guidelines, is the person who is seeing all of this as so ludicrously absurd that it's becoming obvious now what is happening. The who is controlling the world, that there is an invisible hand controlling things, that perhaps we are being manipulated in certain ways, or in many ways. Perhaps we have been for some time now. Ultimately, the winner is the one that is waking up to the reality of what is happening. Share your thoughts, my friends. Are you waking up? Do you feel does any of this resonate with you? And what have I missed anything on this? In what ways are you winning or losing during the pandemic? Because these guidelines are just as made up as any guidelines, okay? And my guidelines don't require injecting yourself with some mystery toxin. They require getting as healthy as possible, physically and mentally with meditations, and spiritually with meditations, and with mindfulness, and with living in the now. You have all the tools you need inside you. You don't need anything. You don't need anything, okay? So share this video with someone that you want to remind them of this fact. They don't need anything, okay? We've been doing just fine for hundreds of thousands of years. And there's no reason to mess with that now. To the winners,